What's going on, movie lovers? Welcome to Apocaflix Movie News, our movie news podcast where we break down the biggest stories throughout the week. I'm your host, Jacob Barley, and I'm joined yet again with Jake Berlin. What's going on, man?
Not much. Glad to be back 2 weeks in a row.
Yes, 2 weeks in a row. Glad you can make it. I did not want to do it by myself. Well, if it's not self-explanatory, we're just going to break down these movie news stories. We got a bunch of good stuff to talk about today, so let's jump right into it. So last year, acclaimed director Mel Gibson unapologetically bashed on Batman v Superman and the comic book genre, making us realize that a filmmaker like Gibson may never touch that kind of property. But boy, what a difference a year makes. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Gibson has entered talks with Warner Bros. To possibly take over the sequel to Suicide Squad. Now, nothing has become official, and it is quite a ways off from actually happening, but Gibson himself did come out and say that the conversations have taken place in a first date type scenario. To add, it's also noted that Gibson is familiarizing himself with the material, and according to those close to the news, if he wants the gig, Warner Bros. Is letting him have it. Jake, would Gibson directing this sequel work, and what would it mean for the DCEU?
Yeah, this is interesting. And when this came out, you, Gio, and I kind of just talked about it a little bit, how it's compared to last year and this year, it's flip-flopped, like you had said. And
yeah,
he pretty much bashed on Batman v Superman and called it a big giant piece of poo, and what it was kind of going for. So to hear that he can be taking on the sequel of a DC movie that's kind of trying to keep the same tone and atmosphere and whatnot is an interesting news story. And flat out, Mel Gibson's one of the greatest directors going right now, and I think that having him jump on board the sequel would be amazing. It's just, I don't know where they're going to go with it, because Mel Gibson's a very specific style of directing, and obviously if you've seen Hacksaw Ridge, that's clearly an R-rated film, and a lot of the stuff he does is very graphic and violent and very big scope, and that's kind of what Suicide Squad tried to do with the first one and didn't really work out that well. But I have no doubt that he could take it in a direction that needs to go in, especially with that type of cast. I mean, Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman, Viola Davis. I mean, it's a phenomenal cast. And there was actually another part of the story that said that he was actually more interested in the property because of the cast.
Because of the cast. Like, yeah. He doesn't care what the material is.
Like, it's who he can work with.
Exactly.
And so that's very exciting. I mean, all of those actors and actresses, they're top talent. And so bringing on Gibson would be a very strong choice. It's just an interesting call, because Gibson isn't a David Ayer. He's not a Zack Snyder. He's not a Patty Jenkins. Like, he's very, very different in style of directing. So maybe it's a good sign for Warner Bros. As far as they're trying to pick up their creative output as far as film goes. And I mean, it's not official yet, but having him on board is definitely, it's not a bad thing by any means.
Yeah, I put my news bit out on this, and I like it. If it happens, I'm all for it, because Warner Bros. Needs a win right now.
Yes.
And we know we're going to talk about it later, what happened with the Matt Reeves and the Batman situation, of him apparently falling out of talks. But getting Mel Gibson to direct this movie is a win. He has a Best Picture nominated film right now, and he's nominated for Best Director. The lead actor of that film is nominated. He's hot right now, and I think it's safe to say he's back. And I would love for him to do this, because he could almost save DC. Like, it just depends. When is this movie coming out? Is it going to come out? It's obviously going to come out after Wonder Woman and Justice League, and probably after the Batman. So is it going to be too late by then?
Well, does he have anything after? Does he have anything going right now? Do we know? I know they're talking about doing the Passion of the Christ sequel or whatever.
His next project is for sure. I think if he signs on, this would be his next project.
I think that they would do this as soon as possible. Signed on.
I would probably guess a 2019 release date. There's not next year.
Because I think 2020 was when the DC had they announced their film slate or whatever, which has drastically changed. And I think 2020 was the last year on that slate.
Nothing is set in stone with DC at all. We've seen it change so much. I think if Gibson's on it would definitely be. It would go into production, pre-production, all that stuff as soon as possible. Yeah. So he has a project announced called Berserker. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, I think if he does sign on, this will be his next project. And I think, here's the thing, if they sign Gibson, they have to back off and just let him direct.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And they obviously didn't do that with Batman v Superman. They didn't do it with Suicide Squad. I think they did do that with Man of Steel. I think
it's because it was the first one.
And I don't think they had as big of a plan for a shared cinematic universe as they do now. So they just kind of let Zack Snyder direct, and that's I mean, at least in my opinion, that's the best movie in the DCEU so far.
It is, I agree.
I love that film. So if they just let him direct, I think he can do something really special with this. You can go several different ways with this story. I don't want no supernatural elements to this film. With these team members, you can do something grounded and realistic. Like David Ayer said, he wished he would have had the Joker be the main villain. And I think you could do something like that. We see spoilers for Suicide Squad, so skip ahead if you have not seen Suicide Squad. Alright, you've been warned. So at the end of Suicide Squad, we see the Joker break Harley Quinn out. That could play into the story. Maybe they have to go
Harley
get
Quinn and
her.
Joker could be the bad guys.
Yeah. And,
both of them together.
And then she has an edge on them because she knows all of them. And she can play psychological games because she knows
has a relationship with Will Smith's Deadshot after the first one.
Yeah, so that element is really interesting. I could see them almost like having to go on like a special ops mission like overseas or something like that.
They're a Black Ops team. Basically.
Exactly.
A superhero Black Ops
So
team.
imagine Mel Gibson directing a special ops movie, like Black Ops movie, but with this Suicide Squad team with Deadshot. And I don't necessarily want to see we know Diablo probably might not be around, so we might not see those gigantically fantastical characters. So if you have the more grounded characters going on a mission, I think that would be interesting.
I don't think you need to bring in a new character. I think you keep Deadshot,
Captain Boomerang.
You keep Katana, Croc, and Rick Flag.
Yeah. And
then Harley Quinn's out there kind of doing her thing if she's on the team, if she's not on the team.
And even though I love Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, I don't think she does much. She can fight and all this stuff, but she can't do much, She's
good with a gun, that's about it.
The only thing that she's maybe good with is negotiations and psychological games. We saw her use that in the movie too, so I don't know. So that would be cool to see them without her on a mission and then she comes into it somehow. Anyways, we can talk about this all day. I really hope this becomes true because I think Mel Gibson is one of the best directors of all time, and I think DC really needs it for sure.
They just need a win, period.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on to something positive. Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book is one of the most technologically advanced films we've ever seen, and because of its complete success, Disney locked up Favreau for their next major classic animation property to live action, The Lion King. The film currently has no release date, but with such a workload as this one has, it comes to no surprise to hear a few advancements on the film this early, this time in the form of casting. Thanks to Favreau and his social media post, it was announced late Friday that Donald Glover will be voicing the soon-to-be King Simba, and his father Mufasa will be voiced by none other than James Earl Jones, who will be returning to the character after voicing him once before long ago. With Favreau at the helm, expect The Lion King to recruit an all-star cast just as The Jungle Book featured last year. What can you say about this? This is awesome.
This is
awesome.
really strong.
I can totally hear Donald Glover's voice as Simba. That's great. And then, of course, you have to get James Earl Jones to do Mufasa.
No doubt.
He's still alive. Yep. He's still ticking, so he can totally do this. How cool is it for him to return to Vader and then return to Mufasa? His two most iconic roles. That is great. So, and I'm wondering, it's obviously going to be motion cap, right? I mean,
it's going to be exactly like Jungle Book.
Exactly. So, this is amazing.
Yeah, no.
How do they... I mean, I guess Jungle Book only had one human character, so you can totally do this story without any human characters. Yeah. And, they have personalities and everything, so they're relatable in the sense that they're aware and everything. So, yeah, I love this. It couldn't be more perfect, honestly.
No, it makes complete sense. Obviously, James Earl Jones is an obvious one, but Donald Glover, I mean... that one makes total sense to me because the guy can sing. He knows.
Oh, that's just... I forgot about that.
He knows how to sing, and he has a really good voice.
Oh my goodness!
So
he's gonna sing. I can't wait to be king.
Hakuna Matata, I can't wait to be king. All of those songs.
So I know he's a rapper, but I heard that he can actually really sing.
He's got a great voice.
That is
strong.
I did not think about that element. So that is great.
It makes complete sense that they would grab someone like Donald Glover and to kind of get this with no warning, whatever, is really happy. And I kind of walked out of class yesterday. I was like, oh man, they cast Donald Glover and James Earl Jones, and which is really cool. Now the wait is on to see who they get for Timon and Pumbaa. That's the big one.
That's gonna be awesome.
And that's gonna be the big one. And I think that it doesn't have to be someone major, but someone who have really good comedic timing, comedic chops. Possibly two people who have worked together before. Almost like Ewan McGregor and Ian McKellen from Beauty and the Beast.
Something like that, yeah.
And so that's definitely going to be a big casting, but these movies are doing a fantastic job of casting. Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book, Cinderella. There's nothing bad you can say about the casting. It's all been on point. If they follow the the build of the Jungle Book, the Lion King is just going to have just as much success.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all the characters and who they're going to cast. Like, I forget the monkey's
Rafiki,
name, but
man.
who's going to play the monkey?
And
like,
the Lion King, like Beauty and the Beast, is your all-time favorite. The Lion King is all my all-time favorite animated movie.
And
so.
Scar, who's going to play Scar?
Yeah, that's interesting. Bring back Idris Elba.
Who did the voice for Scar? It's
I don't know. I'll look.
I think
I'll look.
Isn't it Jeremy Irons?
It might be Jeremy Irons. I'll look
that up right now. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Jeremy Irons. But yeah, just thinking about who they can cast. The second one has Nala in it, right?
No, Nala's in the first one.
Is she? Oh,
yeah, she's in the first one.
Duh. I'm an idiot. Of course she is. Who's gonna play voice Nala? That's interesting too.
Yeah, see, Matthew Broderick was Simba in the first one.
That's awesome.
Let's see, Jeremy Irons was Scar.
Yep, see, I knew it.
Yeah.
Bring back Jeremy Irons.
There you go.
Why not? Hey, they got James Earl Jones.
They should bring back Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabala to do Timon and Pumbaa.
Why not? That would be awesome.
They should just bring them all back.
Exactly.
Everybody.
I mean, maybe not everybody, but at least I think Jeremy Irons is great. He can totally do Scar again. I think.
For sure.
All right, well, ever since the announcement of the official title of Rian Johnson's Star Wars Episode 8, aside from who it is, the biggest question has been whether or not The Last Jedi has a singular or plural meaning. Is it Luke? Maybe Rey? Could it mean both Luke and Rey? Why not? Officially confirmed by Disney and or Lucasfilm yet. Foreign translators of the title may have just revealed the title's big secret meaning. According to multiple sources overseas, including German, Spanish, and Italian, the translation across the board is plural. While obvious and pretty clear to this point, the title points towards Luke and Rey, together being the last of the Jedi. Let the speculation begin. Johnson's Star Wars The Last Jedi hits theaters near you on December 15th, 2018. And this is something we debated right away when we heard the title.
Multiple times, yeah.
And I do think it's plural. Because
I thought so from the beginning as well.
It makes sense. A lot of people thought it hinted towards Luke dying and Rey being the last Jedi, but I don't think Luke's dying anytime soon. I actually think he's going to live past this trilogy, in my opinion.
Well, we always see a major character die within these trilogies. Why doesn't everybody just live?
I mean, we already see Han's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't get Carrie Fisher anymore, so I think you could keep Luke for this trilogy and one more trilogy, and
he can play like the Yoda was in the prequels and the originals.
And then maybe he passes away like Yoda in episode 12 or whatever it's going to be, you know? So I always thought it was plural, and it makes sense. So Rey's not a Jedi yet, but Luke's going to train her, and I think by the end of this movie, it depends what the timeline is, because we know it's going to pick up right where the last one ended.
I don't know.
I don't think she's going to be Jedi Knight.
She'll be a Force user.
She'll be a Padawan.
Yeah, if Padawans are still viable, you know.
It just depends how Luke phrases it. You know, even if he doesn't call her a Padawan, her rank, she will be a Padawan.
Yeah, we'll know within the movie because it's Snoke or Kylo or someone's gonna call her the young Jedi or the Padawan or whatever it is. They're gonna name it within the movie, so we'll know what then. But it makes sense that it's plural. And
would this be cheesy if Luke and Rey show up to fight Snoke and Kylo Ren, and then Snoke says, "The Last Jedi"?
I don't think so.
He calls them the Last Jedi.
I don't know. I mean, they did it in The Force Awakens. It was pointing towards Luke at the time, but why not? Why not? I mean, it wouldn't hurt it at all. I mean, it would make sense if people that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to hear about this news anyway, and so not everybody's going to go on realizing that it is Rey and Luke, and so. But it makes complete sense that they're the two good Force users in the galaxy right now, where everybody else seems to be on the dark side as far as Force users. So it would make sense for it to be the both of them. Where it goes, we don't know. But I don't, like you said, I don't think Luke is dying anytime soon, especially after Han biting the dust last movie and then the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher. So I just see Luke and Rey kind of going together, being the last of the Jedi for multiple movies going forward.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's any other Force users out there still. I mean, there has to be.
I doubt that they killed
if they're not
everybody.
aware. You can't kill everybody.
Yeah.
And you could have some far distant galaxy where there's some other Force users, you know? You can't control everything. And there's probably so many people out there in the galaxy that don't know they're Force sensitive, you know? Like Rey, she wasn't aware of it. So, and I just wonder if Kanan and Ezra are still alive, or at least one of them are still alive, because
I would think one of them are, and we could possibly find out within the movie.
I think Benicio del Toro could be one of them.
He's the only one because he obviously looks like an older Ezra. Kanan is the question, obviously. I mean, he's if you saw him on screen, you would know right away that's Kanan. And,
yeah. So I've been audiobooking A New Dawn, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
You get to see Hera and Kanan meet for the first time.
Nice.
And like their relationship is so different.
That's awesome.
And I'm just curious, like, what happens to all these Star Wars Rebels characters? Where are they? Because they're not around in A New Hope. So do they die in the battle at Rogue One? Where is Ezra? I think one of either Kanan or Ezra survives past that point and it's like stays hidden. Like, so you never know. But I would love to see one of those characters brought to live action.
I agree. I think that's what they're going for. I agree.
I think that would be awesome. All right, well, if you have yet to see both the Raid Redemption and the Raid 2, do yourself a favor and watch them as soon as you can. Like myself, I need to watch them. The foreign action franchise only began back in 2011, which was followed up by a 2014 sequel. And because of the success of not just the jaw-dropping action, but the movies themselves, they're already getting an American-made remake. Plans started back in 2015, but eventually fell through until this week. And as revealed by XYZ Films, director Joe Carnahan and The Purge star Frank Grillo are attached to a reimagining of the first movie with no set release date as of yet. Jake, you've seen the Raid movies. Is this so-called reimagining happening anytime soon?
I think it's happening too soon. I think that, 2011, 2014, it's only six years ago from the original. It's pretty crazy that they're already remaking it. At XYZ Films, they actually released, the way they announced it, they released a video on Twitter of Carnahan and Grillo watching the original film.
Wow.
And kind of reacting to it. And they're like, oh man, maybe we should do a reimagining of this. Do you want to do this? And they're like kind of joking around or whatever. And they kept saying reimagining and not a reboot or a remake. So that's kind of what gives me a little bit of hope. It's going to be a completely different version, just the same kind of story, but just a different telling of it. And I get why they're remaking it, because the originals, it's in a foreign language. A lot of people haven't seen it. It got a limited release, but when it got a limited release, it made a lot of money because people kept hearing about the action. They're fantastic movies. The action is unbelievable, and has kind of shot a few of the leading actors into action roles. I mean, we saw them in The Force Awakens. Very underused, unfortunately, but so as far as the remake goes, I think it's happening too soon, but I do understand why it's happening. Carnahan seems like a good director to do it. I forget a few of his previous movies. I think he did The Grey with Liam Neeson. I think he's doing Bad Boys 3 with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And then Frank Grillo is obviously an action star. He played Crossbones in the Marvel movies. Ever since he has been on The Purge movies have kind of been elevated as well. So he's definitely a great choice for an action lead. It's just an interesting call to do it so soon, but I do understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, it's I haven't seen the movies, but I definitely need to watch them soon. I will get on that. But yeah, it is a little too soon, I think. But in Hollywood, I guess nothing's too soon.
Yeah.
They're going to capitalize on whatever they can. I just hope it's not, for lack of a better term, like a cash grab. Like, oh, let's capitalize on the success of The Raid by just making a new one. And they're probably just going to call it The Raid also. And then I don't know. I kind of wish we could just live with the originals. Like, why not make a new action movie that's in like kind of like The Raid? Like, you can be inspired by The Raid and make a Raid-like movie and just call it something else. But why does it have to be called The Raid? Like,
exactly.
So I don't think it's necessary, but no movie is necessary. So, and it all depends. If it's great and they tell a great story and the action is awesome and we like it, then it's all good. Like, we have the originals, we have the new one. If it sucks, we have the originals, we have the new one. Who cares?
Yeah, I hope that they don't go like super big budget and blockbustery with, flying bullets,
like
and
jumping out of helicopters and shit like that.
Because if you've seen the original, it's basically a group of soldier or police officers who it's like Dredd, where they have to rise the building, and it's hand-to-hand combat, but basically the entire time. For some reason, I just think of Daredevil. Like, that's kind of what it's in a way. The action is like that, but it's like Dredd, Carl Urban's Dredd, where they just basically have to rise the building and fight all these guys to get to the spot they need to get to.
They're probably going to do that in this.
Yeah, and they get locked inside the building and they can't get out, and so I don't want to see like huge explosions and whatnot. Like, keep it simple. That's all I ask for.
I agree. All right, well, another day, and we have another piece of news regarding the Batman. Last week, we talked about and got excited about the news that brought Dawn of the Planet of the Apes director on board to helm the Ben Affleck project. Well, that isn't happening anymore. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter this week, negotiations have broken down with Reeves, resulting in the director leaving the final talks he was in with the studio. What does this mean? We know that Warner Bros. Had both Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez on the shortlist to direct, so will WB continue to pursue Matt Reeves or move on to another director to get this project going as soon as possible? Either way, the Batman has some serious black clouds over it, as this is, again, another piece of bad news revolving around the standalone movie and the greater DCEU. So, Gio, what do you... Oh, Gio's not here.
Can't defend.
I'm sure he would love to comment on this. This sucks.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
I desperately want the DCEU to succeed. Like, I love these characters, and my heart's gonna be broken if Wonder Woman is bad. Like, I'm gonna give up if Wonder Woman is bad.
I think Wonder Woman's kind of like the final straw at this point. Even with the Justice League on the horizon, it's like all this stuff with the Batman, and then if Wonder Woman fails,
it's just because I think. It just depends how they handled Patty Jenkins with that movie. If they let her direct as much as they could, obviously there's studio interference with every single movie that's ever made.
It just depends on
how much and how it's handled. But this just sucks. I was upset that Ben Affleck stepped down from directing, and then I hear that Matt Reeves is attached, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Now I got about it last week on Movie News,
and now we kind of got the rug pulled out from under us. Like, nope, we're just kidding. We're not getting Matt Reeves. So who knows? He could be directing. It said that it's also... I know the report said that they're still in negotiations,
I guess they're...
It could get back on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and now... You know what this does? It kills any hope for me that Mel Gibson will end up directing Suicide Squad 2. Like, my excitement for that is broken by this, because I don't want to hear... Just wait till you sign somebody and then announce it. I know it's not them announcing it. It's reporters reporting this stuff. So, it's not their fault, but I want to hear something solid. I want to hear Mel Gibson is for sure directing Suicide Squad 2. The studio's going to, let him do his thing. I want to hear that, and I want to see the movie come out. It doesn't have to be Matt Reeves, but get a good director in there and get going with this. But overall, this is just very disappointing.
Yeah, Gio he wrote up a really good article about Matt Reeves leaving and how maybe we should, he said, go back to the old days where we don't have to hear about every little thing that comes out that deals with in talks or whatever. So check that out on the website. But it definitely sucks. It's an unfortunate thing that has to happen. I mean, I was so pumped to hear that Matt Reeves got brought on, because he's one of my favorite directors today. Obviously, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was a crushing. He's got War for the Planet of the Apes coming out this July, and it seems like it's going to be just as good or better. Now it begs the question, why have talks stopped or stalled, I guess you can say, and is it WB not getting out of Matt Reeves what they want, or maybe Matt Reeves is just too much in post-production for Planet of the Apes, and they kind of have to take a break for a little bit. But I think I'm kind of leaning towards Warner Brothers just wanting to push this movie out as soon as possible, and Matt Reeves he's just not available. And so that's kind of unfortunate, because pushing it out as soon as possible doesn't work. I mean, we heard that David Ayer only had 6 weeks to write the Suicide Squad script, and look what happened. And so if you take your time on this movie and give a director a chance to do his thing, it's going to be a good movie, no matter who it is. And so it's unfortunate, and like Jacob had said about the whole Mel Gibson thing, it now begs the question, just because Mel Gibson's in talks, there's a good chance that he won't direct Suicide Squad 2. And so the excitement has kind of dwindled down a little bit, which is unfortunate. And so now I'm interested to see who they go with, or if they continue to talk to Matt Reeves. I do like the choices of Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez. I'd rather go with Fede Alvarez personally. He did the Evil Dead reboot and this past year's Don't Breathe, and so seeing Don't Breathe.
See, I was wondering
Batman,
what he directed.
He did Don't Breathe, so that's actually, I think it's a fantastic choice. I think Ridley Scott's too much of a blockbuster director.
Exactly.
To do this.
Look, I think Ridley Scott's great. The Martian was awesome, and I think Alien Covenant is going to be freaking awesome. It looks great. But as far as fit and style and tone, that would be...
The intensity he brings.
Don't Breathe was amazing.
Yes.
Such a surprise. Yeah. So I would be very happy with that choice.
I agree.
The only thing I worry about with that choice, I think Matt Reeves would have had more control over the property. If they get somebody like Fede Alvarez, who's a great director, but is not that big, I think they'll be able to push him around a little bit. I just hope
Warner Brothers learns their lesson and let their guys do their thing, man.
Yeah, look what happened with 2016. And unfortunately, 2017, it's too late, because they already kind of were done with these movies by the time Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman came out, these movies were far into production, so it was too late to like change anything. So like, hopefully these movies are great. Like, how amazing would it be to live in a world where both Wonder Woman and Justice League are just awesome? Like, that would make me so happy. Like,
imagine 2017 where you would have Guardians, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Justice League, and Thor all crush it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy if Wonder Woman, let's just say for comparison, if Wonder Woman is as good as the first Thor, like, and then Justice League is as good as Avengers: Age of Ultron, that would be amazing. Yes. That would change everything. They don't have to be masterpieces. It would get you excited again. They don't have to be the Dark Knight and Avengers. Just be that good, and then we can kind of turn this ship around, hopefully. All right, well, moving on to our Take One, Leave One segment, where we take two things, maybe sometimes three things, and put them against each other, decide which ones we take, which ones we leave. Doesn't mean you hate the thing you leave. It doesn't mean you love the thing that you take. It just, you're choosing between two things. All right, hot off the heels of everything Avengers Infinity War this past week, Disney and Marvel flipped the page just a bit and revealed some artsy new looks at two of their more exciting projects, Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok. Thanks to a batch of new concept art images, we get our first strong look at a few things. The beautifully advanced world of Wakanda, Cate Blanchett's villainous Hela, and the big one, Gladiator Hulk versus the God of Thunder. Black Panther runs its way into theaters on February 16th, 2018, and Thor Ragnarok hits theaters a little sooner on November 4th of this year. All right, Jake, being a versus, what set of concept art are you taking over the other?
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool, and I actually really dig concept art. I think it's really cool to see how the film kind of progresses through production and whatnot, because the concept art doesn't always match what the film or the final product looks like, but you can kind of see what they're going for. I'm just going to touch on both real quick. Black Panther, the concept art looks beautiful. Wakanda looks like a place that I would spend millions of dollars to go visit. Like, it's technologically advanced. Obviously, they have the vibranium metal that Cap uses. It just looks like a place you want to go and see on a big screen, on a big IMAX screen. I can't wait to see what Ryan Coogler does with that kind of world. And I'm excited that we're going to see it in just one full movie instead of kind of going there and kind of leaving and whatnot. And so, but obviously Thor Ragnarok, there's some really, really cool stuff. You get a look at Loki for the first time too. Hela, obviously up close look at her new costume. And then Gladiator Hulk and Thor kind of going at it with some weapons inside a gladiatorial ring. And so, just because of that one image of Thor and Hulk, I gotta take the Thor stuff.
Nice.
Just because it's Thor and Hulk fighting in a gladiatorial setting. I'm a huge fan of the Spartacus TV series on Starz and all of that kind of stuff. And so just seeing two superheroes from the Avengers go at it as gladiators is amazing. And I can just picture Hulk in his armor with the metal arm, and then Thor swinging some kind of giant axe with no hair, and like it sounds amazing. The concept art looks really cool. So nothing against Black Panther, but at this point, like, I just cannot wait to see a true showdown between these two heroes.
Yeah, this is tough, like, because both of these look great, and how do you not get excited over seeing Thor and Hulk in those gladiator settings? And that's going to be amazing. And surprisingly, though, I'm taking the Wakanda, the Black Panther concept art. You almost changed my mind, though, hearing you talk about Thor and Hulk and the Gladiator stuff. That looks awesome. Like, I would take both if I could, but that's the point of this. We take one or leave one. And that Black Panther, the world building, the way it looks, like, it kind of like brought to my attention that it's gonna be like a showcase, like seeing all this on screen, like it's gonna look beautiful. And what they can do with that, it's like we haven't seen that in a superhero movie. I mean, I guess the closest thing you could say is like maybe Asgard in.
We've seen it a little bit in Thor, not very much.
But they always go there for a little bit and then leave. And we've seen a couple action scenes on Asgard, like when Thor and Loki are escaping in the Dark World.
Thor 2 is the big one where they have it.
But this movie is primarily going to take place in Wakanda, so I think that is awesome.
It looks massive.
Yeah, so I think this just looks beautiful, and what they can do. I mean, it reminds me of I know there's cities in the world, like, is it Dubai? Like
Dubai has the giant in the desert with the skies.
It kind of reminds me of that. Like, so.
And just imagine Ryan Coogler is directing.
Exactly, and I could just see a showdown between Michael B. Jordan and Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman at the end, like with their masks off and everything too, and just
in the jungle.
That dialogue, because they're gonna be like people that had a long relationship, So that. I think Black Panther is going to be truly something
there's so
special.
many, like, the images they showcase, there's so many different elements.
Yeah.
You have the water, you got the jungle, you got the giant
and I think there's going to be
skyscrapers.
like the rich looking part of Wakanda, and maybe even though it's gonna and like the poor Wakanda, but it's still gonna like look
Different classes,
nice still.
different classes.
But
yeah.
it'll be like a broken down, futuristic looking village or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
I've always heard great things about from the comics and TV shows.
I've read a few Black Panther comics.
I can't wait to see it on big screen. It just
Wakanda always looks amazing, and that end credit scene in Civil War, it looked
with the
beautiful,
giant panther. And,
But don't get me wrong, I freaking love these Hulk and Thor concept artists. Like, and Hela looks Kate Blanchett. I'm so glad
she looks scary,
they got
man.
Kate Blanchett. She's going to change this weak Marvel.
And I love
thing.
that they're adapting the true costume. We haven't really seen a villain express. I have that kind of costume on her before, and it's really vibrant and out there. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, moving on to our last matchup of today. It includes a pair of new trailers, The House and Song to Song, starring Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. The House follows two parents who decide to start an illegal casino in the basement of their neighbor's house after losing their daughter's college fund. It also stars Jason Mantzoukas, Allison Tolman, and is released this summer on June 30th. Song to Song is the latest from filmmaker Terrence Malick and is a modern love story set in the music scene of Austin, Texas, as two entangled couples chase success through a rock and roll landscape of seduction and betrayal. The film stars Michael Fassbender, Ryan Gosling, Rooney Mara, Natalie Portman, and has a limited March 17th, 2017 release date. Now, this is easy for me, but I'm not over the moon excited for either. I'm going to take the Song to Song for sure because that cast looks incredible.
Yeah.
We just saw Ryan Gosling in a musical film, La La Land, and this looks very similar to his role in that. And so I'm super excited, and to see him and Fassbender on screen together, like, talk about like a dream co-stars on screen.
Yeah,
they look awesome.
Seriously.
And then, of course, Rooney Mara is incredible. She's
Every movie she does, she's amazing.
great.
Yeah.
And then Natalie Portman, of course. So you have this great cast. The only thing I'm hesitant about to talk to you is the Knight of Cups movie, which came out last year, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And I haven't seen it, so I can't judge it. And this is not fair for me to say, but I'm just going to base off like
scores and reviews.
The buzz. It has like a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that that means anything, but it just shows like the general reception of the film. And I didn't hear anything about that movie. If it was great and it was successful, it would have gotten an expanded release. It would have came to theaters everywhere. So obviously that movie wasn't successful. And to me, those trailers look very similar. The Knight of Cups trailer and this trailer look like dead on to me. So that's the only thing that's hesitant. But like, if I had to choose, you either get to see The House or Song to Song. I'm definitely taking Song to Song because that movie could either be great and amazing or bad. But I kind of know what The House is going to be. Even though I got a couple chuckles from The House. Like, a few of those things really made me laugh. I think Jason Mantzoukas is the neighbor, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I think that guy's hilarious because I watched The League, the fantasy football show.
A lot of people have been saying that.
And he is hilarious on The League. And he's been in a couple of things. He was
in This Is 40 with Paul Rudd. He was his best friend.
I think he was in The Night Before also. Yeah,
possibly,
he was one of the Santas that like beat
you're
up
right,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
So I like him in supporting roles. Like, I don't think he can lead a comedy the whole time, but in supporting roles, like this is kind of the biggest role he's ever had. Really, like he's the third lead of the movie. So I think that could be interesting. But I'm definitely taking Song to Song.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't really get too excited over either of the trailers, but I'm definitely taking Song to Song. I thought the House trailer was absolutely horrible, and it doesn't look like something I'm very interested in.
It's not going to be good. That could be funny, though.
It's like, I don't know if you my reaction to The Night Before when the trailers were coming out, it's like that all over again.
You ended up thinking that movie was alright, right?
I thought that movie was okay. It was better than I thought it was. I was expecting because it was different from what the trailers were giving off. I'm kind of off the Will Ferrell bandwagon. You know, the last so many years, he just hasn't been funny to me. It's kind of unfortunate.
I mean, his time has passed. I wish he would do more drama.
Same with
dramatic work. I think he could pull off dramatic work, honestly.
And Song to Song, the trailer wasn't amazing. You had said that it looks very similar to Knight of Cups, which I agree, but the cast is just
too good.
Yeah, it's amazing, and each of them are so different from each other. Fassbender and Gosling are just so different from each other. Rooney Mara and Natalie Portman are just so different from each other, and so I like seeing the diverse cast and just how they can kind of play off of each other. It looks like it's going to focus on them for a lot, so it definitely looks exciting, more exciting than The House, I should say. And I've heard good things about Terrence Malick. Not the best of things sometimes, but I've heard that he's just such a creative a different kind of director.
Well, obviously actors love working with him.
Yeah, so and it's just a different type of film from what we see on a regular basis in theaters. So that's kind of what gets me excited about it. And so, yeah, I'm going to take Song to Song, the trailer for Song to Song over the house, and I'll probably end up seeing Song to Song over the house anyway.
You know what's interesting? I've heard, when Night of Cups was coming out, I heard that Terrence Malick, he only sends the actors their dialogue. And they have no idea what the plot of the movie is or anything.
That's cool.
They only know their dialogue they can execute their scenes. Mm-hmm. So when they watch the movie, they have no idea what it's about or anything. Cool. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up Apocaflix movie news for this week. I want to thank Jake Berlin always for writing the notes. Brilliant writing, sir. And for joining me. Let them know where they can find you online.
Twitter, Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake. Check out ApocaflixMovies.com. This YouTube channel. Check out all the good stuff we got over here. Thank you.
And you can find me, Jacob Barley, on Twitter at JacobBarley_ on this YouTube channel. As always, please subscribe and hit that like button. Check out all the other stuff we got going on over here. And thank you all for listening. Until next time, take care. No way.